Welcome inside a windy and rainy Gillette Stadium during bye week. My name is Mike Petraglia, joined as always by Patriots expert columnist for WEEI.com, Christopher Price. All right, Chris, a lot of people coming into today figured the Wednesday of bye week with the rain and the wind outdoors that the Patriots would work on ball security drills. That's not the case. The Patriots decided on this day before sending the players off for the 4-day bye weekend to work inside in the Empower Fieldhouse, and that is because, as Belichick explained in the morning, they have, for all intents and purposes, indoor games coming up against Dallas on October 11th and at Indianapolis on October 18th.
Yeah, you want to get as used to that environment as possible after having played, 1, 2, 3 games outside over the course of the first 3 games this season. You want to shift the energy a little bit. You want to shift the environment. You want to get used to playing indoors, and it's a good opportunity to do it because, as you can tell, it's a pretty miserable day out here this afternoon.
It is, but still not just the work goes on the field. It goes on inside in the classroom, in the workroom. And one of the areas that Belichick referenced on Wednesday morning here at Gillette Stadium were the number of penalties. Overall, the penalties from last year are down, and I know you're writing about this on WEEI.com on the blog, from 30 last year to 22 this year after 3 games. But Bill Belichick always, the perfectionist, looking for a better execution on the offensive end and special teams.
Yeah, the 2 areas that jump out. Last year there were a lot of defensive penalties. Part of that was just points of emphasis going into the season. And second of all, that was, Brandon Brown, or the Brandon Browner effect. And They got more penalties because he was around just by the nature of how he played. This year, there are more penalties on the offensive side of the ball as well as special teams. And that's really a rarity for this team. Every single week, they do have an edge. Most weeks, they do have an edge in the special teams department. It's one area where they have a concerted advantage over the rest of the league. That's something you need to clean up moving forward.
All right, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady also spoke here on Wednesday about the offensive line. It's interesting to note that the 3 rookies, David Andrews, the center, the undrafted rookie out of Georgia, and Shaq Mason and Trey Jackson, have had more snaps than anybody on the team, and by far.
Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense. I think when you look at that grouping, you look at the job that they've done, there have been some rough moments. I know Shaq Mason has struggled a little bit occasionally here and there, as well as playing fullback, but I think the group as a whole has done well. The other thing you have to keep in mind, a lot of times, we talked about it before, but Brady is his own best offensive lineman. Brady, the job when it comes to getting the ball out as fast as possible over the course of the first 3 games, has done a tremendous job in that aspect. That's something that cannot be overlooked when you're talking about kind of nullifying that pass rush a little bit.
I had the chance, Chris, to ask Brady about just that. If this year he has a little bit more confidence in the offensive line, because last year we all know what the storyline was after 4 games. The offensive line was getting Tom Brady killed. That was the storyline. But Brady said today he's always had confidence in his offensive line because they've always been so well coached. Between Googs the last couple of years, Dave DiGiulio, and obviously Dante Scarnecchia, Tom Brady's always had the ultimate confidence that in the end this offensive line will gel.
More often than not, they take guys like, and I'll go back a little ways here, guys like Russ Hochstein, guys like Dan Connolly, guys like Ryan Wendell, now guys like David Andrews. They take these relatively anonymous offensive linemen, sometimes late-round guys, sometimes undrafted guys, and turn them into absolutely vital parts of that offensive line setup. So I think we're seeing the same thing right now with David Andrews. Trey Jackson, to my mind, has looked very good. Again, Shaq Mason has struggled at times. Klein has performed well. So you look at that group as a whole, and I always go back to the idea that when it comes to offensive line and offensive line play, you don't always need the 5 best offensive linemen. You need the 5 guys who do the best job together. And I think that's what they're still trying to find at this point in the season.
Tom Brady was not asked about this on Wednesday, but the news broke on Tuesday that the latest issue with Deflategate, the injunction here, the appeal hearing filed by the NFL and the NFLPA won't be heard until February 1st. The ramifications, you think, Chris?
I don't think that there are any, at least immediately. I think that any sort of major decision, we all know that the gears of justice grind very slowly. So any major decision around this is going to be pushed off now into the off season. We know that it's not going to impact the 2015 season, regular season, postseason, Super Bowl, whatever. So any sort of impact from this is going to come in 2016 and beyond.
Okay, that won't be a distraction. Neither will the talk of a possible repeat of 2007. And I know this is your favorite subject through 3 weeks of the 2015 season. Patriots are 3-0. you take a look at the schedule, and it's always dangerous to do that. I think the biggest part of their schedule will be in the middle of the season when I believe it is they play at the New York Giants, then a home game, and then at the Denver Broncos, a home game against the Buffalo Bills on Monday night, and then a road game at Denver on Sunday night. I think those 3 games will determine whether or not we're going to have any of this type of talk about an undefeated season.
Yeah, I think that it's awful premature. I know a lot of people talked about it, and it's fun to talk about 2007 because it was such an incredibly giddy thrill ride all the way up until the final minute of the Super Bowl. But I think at the same time, got to pump the brakes a little bit. Last year, through 4 games, everyone is ready to give up on this team. 3 games in now, they're setting the world on fire. You need perspective. Like Tom said earlier today, it's a long season, and you're building towards something. I understand the whole 2007 talk. I really do, but right now it's a little premature. I think if you're a team and you're looking for a template to follow, the 2003-2004 group, I think, is a far more palatable routine, idea, formula, whatever you want to call, when you're putting together a championship team. I think that's the kind of team that this group would do well to emulate going forward.
Bill Belichick, given the opportunity to address it, said, "We don't compare ourselves to anybody." How are you going to spend the bye week? Watch some football on the couch?
Yeah, I'm going to sit on the couch. We have the show. We have NFL Sunday coming up this weekend. But, yeah, it's going to be on the couch, watching some football, catching some red zone, and just kind of, catching up on some stats, some numbers, some old stories.
And as Bill Belichick said earlier this week, catching our breath a little bit. And I think the players have earned it. Everybody who's covered this team through Deflategate has certainly earned it over the last 9 months. I think it'll be a nice weekend to catch up with some personal time. We hope everybody out there does the same, watches some good football, even though the Patriots are not playing. It'll be an interesting weekend, and then the Patriots will get back to business here on Monday, getting ready for the Dallas Cowboys in the heart of Texas on October 11th. Inside a wet and rainy and windy Gillette Stadium, he's Christopher Price. I'm Mike Petraglia, WEEI.com.